Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is Amir Hassan, a Republican congressional candidate for Michigan's 8th District. Amir, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is a pleasure to talk to you and really hear why you're running for Congress because you're a Navy veteran. Then you worked in federal law enforcement. Now you're running for Congress in a district that President Trump won in 2024, but a Democrat won in that same year, in that same election. So to start off the conversation, why do you think you can flip this seat?
What we see here in this district is we've been represented for the last 50 years. Last 50 years by the Democratic Party. We don't have anything to show for it. People here, it's not just me who thinks I can flip the seat. The people here are ready for change. They've been waiting for someone from the district to come home and talk about common sense agendas, talk about the things that are really bothering us as Americans, as Michiganders, that and bringing change to that innovation, foresight, what's going to bring us jobs, what's going to bring us educational opportunities, what are going to give parents their control they've been looking for and lacking for the last 50 years. So my experience in the military, my experience in the federal government has taken me around the world. So I know what proper representation looks like. I know what's possible in this country, in this state, and I'm the person to bring it to it.
I feel really grateful whenever I have the chance to speak with a veteran. So A, thank you for your service. But B, I know when I speak with a member of the military, they have served alongside people who have been Republican, who have been Democrat. They have protected the people of this country no matter what party they're in. So before we get into the issues and everything like that, where do you think you could find common ground with Democrats and work for something and find some sort of bipartisan solution?
Well, what we just saw at the State of the Union is establishing a foundation, a baseline. And the baseline is simply, do you care about America and Americans first? After we establish that baseline, we can work with anybody because we're working towards the same goals. We might have different ways of going about the goal, but the goal is to provide a better America for Americans. And I think coming from the military, we understand having a mission at hand and have to accomplish that mission. You have a leader, and then everybody below follows orders and they fall in line. And that's what we just need to get back to. We need to get back to why we're doing it and then accomplish the mission at hand.
Let's talk to some of the things that were brought up at the State of the Union because it's no secret that the top issue facing Americans is the economy, the cost of living. President Trump brought that up, and I want to say what he said in part. He claimed we're in a golden age and that the roaring economy is roaring like never before. What do you make of that, and do you think that people feel that way?
Well, I think he sees it from a statistical level. He's looking at all the numbers that people on the street level or the grassroots level may not understand. But when you look at the price of gas prices, when you look at the price of eggs, the price of meat coming down from what it was a year prior, that does lead to an economy getting better. Because if I'm not spending as much money on my daily needs as gas, that's more money I could put towards something else. Therefore, those are the base and foundations of an economy that started to change trajectory and get back where we needed to be. It is tough out here. I think President Trump understands it's tough for the regular person. However, it's on the horizon. Brightness or a change of trajectory is what's coming, and we've seen that in economy because of the policies of this administration.
What do you think of the people of Michigan, working every day, average job? They hear the president saying, or you saying, that he's saying numbers that we might not understand. He's a billionaire. A lot of people, a lot of Americans, their reality is I'm working paycheck to paycheck to support myself. Yes, the price of eggs is coming down. That's in large part because of the avian flu outbreak. That's been sorted out. But CPI new USDA data shows most grocery prices are up, and they will probably be up by 3% this year. So if someone's saying, they're saying it's coming back, the economy's feeling good, I can't really feel that yet. What do you say to them?
I said we need to listen to the people. If they don't understand or they don't see the benefits of the economy changing, we need to make it more expedient change for the economy. I listen to the people, therefore, because I am a representation of the people. So I will never be in a position where I try to force feed them information if they're not feeling it and they're not seeing it. The truth is the economy is bouncing back. However, we need to do things to make people understand and make it easier for them on a day-to-day basis. I'm a single father, having two children, one in college, one in the kindergarten. I know firsthand what it's like to try to raise a family and maintain your profession and just go about your daily business. So I do feel the effects of everything that everybody else is going through. However, changes on the horizon and the economy is coming back expediently.
When a constituent of yours says, "How would you make my life more affordable?" what would you say?
Well, I would try to give them a job, a better job. That's the biggest thing. I think too often we focus on trying to fix the prices of groceries or goods when a lot of my district is unemployed or they're receiving SNAP benefits or they're in a job that is an hourly wage. I would tell them there are jobs available right now that will put you in a position where you can afford and have a little bit more leeway in your budget. But as of today, right now, the only thing I can say is we need to get behind President Trump and the agendas that we have going forward because that's going to benefit us as a whole. We have to build in America, we have to invest in America, and we have to make sure that we're taking care of each other.
You did mention that you have one kid in college. You're talking about jobs. I think something that's scaring a lot of people is this talk of AI. And the CEO of Anthropic, he said that within the next 1 to 5 years, 50% of entry level jobs could be wiped out. I mean, you hear that, that's just terrifying. Paired with, I don't know, a lot of kids in college are probably thinking, what does this really mean for me? Am I studying something that by the time I graduate, that'll be null and void, that'll be useless? What do you think about the impact AI is going to have on our workforce, our economy? And as a lawmaker, what regulation do you think that needs to have around it?
That's a great question, and that's something I struggle with every day. AI is essentially we're at the new frontier, we're at a new industrial revolution. What I tell my district, what I tell my child is we need to make sure we're pushing kids in the direction of the future of the world. The emerging technologies is what we should be focused on. So we can't have an antiquated education system that's just teaching things that are no longer accurate to what we're facing on the real world. Data centers are popping up everywhere. AI and robotics are the future. So we should be focused on STEM. If we're not focused on STEM, we should be focused on sustainable jobs that are recession proof, that are AI proof, hence the trades, plumbers, electricians, HVAC technicians. These jobs are never going out of style. They always will pay. For every 5 in the trade that retire, we only have 2 replacing them. So I think it's time for us, a country, and especially the industrial Midwest, that we start investing in the jobs that pay, start putting our children in a position of success, and not fight the emerging technologies. We need to make sure they're environmentally safe and they make sense for our district or our country. However, it's coming. So we need to invest. We need to have foresight to do it the most appropriate way. I would love them to come to my state because this is going to be the future of the world.
I do now want to pivot back to something that President Trump talked about at the State of the Union, and that was Iran. And U.S. and Iranian officials met again for another round of talks on Iran's nuclear program. And this comes as the U.S. military continues to build up in the region. There's reporting President Trump is weighing potential military action against the country. And I want to talk about something that he said about Iran in part at the State of the Union. He said this, quote, "They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy, but one thing is certain. I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen." What are your thoughts on this whole debate with Iran, especially because you're someone who served in the military? You enlisted 20 years ago during the war on terror.
Yes, ma'am. Well, he's right. We should try to solve it through diplomacy. We see the Iranian regime are killing their civilians by the thousands. So we know what we're dealing with. And we know if they're capable of killing their own people, and they've stated over and over again, death to America, vowing death to our allies, that they are an unstable regime, that they're capable of anything. If they have a nuclear program, we would be that much more in danger. So therefore, we need to make every opportunity and take every chance we can to make sure they don't achieve that. Diplomacy, and President Trump and his administration has done wonderfully. And Secretary of State Rubio, they have negotiated better than any other administration, I would think, in my lifetime. He's been a president of peace. As a military veteran, I do not want to send my family members and my friends over to fight the war in Iran. And I know a lot of Americans do not want to fight with Iran. We feel like that's not our fight. However, we cannot allow them to produce any nuclear weapons or have a nuclear capacity or capabilities at all.
I know that a CBS News poll taken before the State of the Union, the vast majority of Americans wanted President Trump to clearly, or they believed that the Trump administration, rather, hasn't clearly explained the U.S. military position on Iran yet. And I want to talk about something else that President Trump said, because he talked about saying that the U.S. forces obliterated Iran's nuclear program with Operation Midnight Hammer back in the summer, when U.S. forces dropped bunker-busting bombs on some of Iran's major nuclear facilities. But he said Iran is rebuilding its nuclear program and, quote, is working to build missiles that could soon reach the United States. And I know that that's something that Vice President J.D. Vance has echoed. It's a similar sentiment that Secretary of State Marco Rubio has echoed. What do you make of that? Because so far we haven't seen any evidence of that. And it seems like those things are the opposite, right? We obliterated their nuclear program. They're rebuilding their nuclear program, and that's a threat now. I mean, what do you make of that?
Well, I think the threat is always there. You know, I spent some time in the intelligence community in the military, and they are accessing intelligence that we don't have. At this point, we have to make sure there's not a inkling of space or capacity for Iran to have anything of the nuclear capacity. So that's enriching uranium or having ways to purchase it from someone else or bringing in scientists and doctors. If they know how to do it to rebuild their infrastructure, they can do it quicker as a rebound. Even if we did destroy all their capacity, they could always bounce back. And so I think President Trump is just dotting his I's, crossing his T's, and making sure that America is safe, as he has this entire time. As an American first candidate, I applaud it. We have to make sure there is no chance that they ever have a capability to harm us or our allies.
When I was on X and I saw that people were posting about President Trump saying that, Vice President J.D. Vance saying that, they were posting that with photos and images and videos of former President George W. Bush and the weapons of mass destruction justification for the 2003 invasion of Iraq. Do you think that this is reminding you of that time right now? Do you think we're seeing history repeat itself at all?
No, I think when that George Bush or President Bush and the WMD situation, we invaded quickly, and we went and sent boots on ground quickly. We have military or naval vessels in the area, and that's projection of force, but we don't have plans for putting boots on ground, nor do I think the American public wants to put boots on ground. I believe we're doing everything we can in this administration to settle this via diplomacy. Come to the negotiation table. Let's make sure we handle it appropriately. I can't iterate enough. President Trump has been the president of peace. And so I don't think we are seeing the same things. And I want to make sure that our American servicemen and women are safe and not going into a war that America truly doesn't want.
And it doesn't seem like there's much appetite for another war in the Middle East, especially those of us that can remember 20 years ago. I mean, you served during that time, but there was reporting that there could be a strike imminently. There was reporting last week. Imminent was the word that was used. We're seeing this large military presence, a military buildup that we haven't seen since around 20 years ago. Do you think that if diplomacy doesn't work here, are you supportive of the United States striking Iran?
Well, we don't do hypotheticals, but all options are on the table. People have to realize Iran has been a state sponsor of terror, not only a state sponsor of terror vowing death to America, but they've also allowed ISIS to train there and other terrorist groups. So therefore, striking Iran or striking the terrorist groups, we had an opportunity during President Obama's administration to do the same. And while we were transitioning, we could have 100% eradicated them. We didn't take that chance then. And now we're seeing 15 years later, we're having the same conversation. So I think President Trump's administration is just simply saying, we're going to make sure there is no chance that this comes back on us, and we eradicate all terrorism and state sponsors of terror. So hopefully Iran is wise, uses common sense, and uses diplomacy to end this issue, because the constituents and the citizens of Iran, they want change. America, we want safety, we want change, so we can all come to the table and it just be peaceful resolution.
And then going back to your primary, I know historically when there's one party in power in the House, the Senate, and the White House, usually the midterms aren't too kind for them. And according to a recent 2026 generic congressional ballot poll from Emerson College Polling, Democratic candidates are beating Republicans 50 to 42%, and independent voters are going with the Democratic candidate 50% to the 37% who are going for the Republican. Does that concern you? I mean, how does that shape your strategy, if at all?
No, polling is polling, and it's good data, you know. And as an intel specialist, we learn how to change data into intelligence. But the good thing is, I'm outside every day. I'm grassroots. I'm knocking doors. I'm speaking with the people where the people are. I was at a veterans event earlier today, speaking with veterans. What I've seen for the last 70 years or 50 plus years, we had one congressional member who was a Republican who turned Democrat. So it's really 70 plus years. It didn't matter who the president was, right? Democrat every single time. And I can look outside and tell you it doesn't matter who the president was or who the congressional member was. Flint, Saginaw, Midland, and Bay City have been going in one way the entire 50 years. So it doesn't matter to me, the polling. What matters is when I go outside and I talk to the constituents, what they are feeling and being a voice of that. This is not party politics here in the 8th District. What this is people want representation. They want somebody who's truly from the district, who understands the pain, the issues, and the excitement of what we could potentially have. And to bring it to them, they want somebody who's transparent, somebody who's honest. And that's what I am. I am a man of the people because I pulled myself up blue collar like most of these people here. I went through the military, I went through federal law enforcement. This is a continuation of service, and people respect that.
So then what's next for your campaign between now and the primary?
Well, we're going to continue to do what we do every day. Get out, speak to the people, get out, be active. I'm very much in the community, whether it's volunteering at soup kitchens or speaking with veterans inside the churches. We're going to maintain our daily life. This is not a campaign for me. This is a lifestyle. This is my life. Change, bringing change to my district is something I was built for. Therefore, there's no talking points with me. I'm just simply outside figuring out how can we make our lives better for that everyday American and make people understand that it's no better time than to be an American. Be proud of being American. Be proud of we have a government that's standing up for Americans first. And that's all I'm bringing to the table. I am a representation of the 8th District. We are going to flip the 8th, and that's it.
Amir Hassan, thank you so much for the time today, for answering all my wide-ranging questions. You are welcome back anytime. Best of luck to you.
Well, I appreciate you for having me. I encourage people to follow me at flipthe8th.com. We do have a primary and in general, but more importantly, we have 8 months to prove to the American people that the Republican Party, President Trump's administration, are heading towards the right direction, and we have the American interest in mind and in heart. So thank you again for having me. I would love to come back a different time, and you can ask me anything.